like because we are doing some sadhana and we could see the result, it is easy for us to accept. uh, but the same example, the point of authority comes in, because when if I put the same logic before someone, that you are doing blind faith, in either case you need to start at some point. They have the faith on the authority of the be it government or those who train the airline industry, or the so the pilot is well trained, they have that faith. They say that it is scientifically proven or something, but the same kind of faith, they don't say, if we say that this is also scientifically proven, that what is the guarantee that they are telling truth, kind of questions come. And also the question comes of the verifiability, uh, because material things, they are very animate, we can easily cross check, kind of, even though you don't practice. So how do we answer such kind of question?
So at that stage, you're right. It's difficult to answer those questions. Um, so I remember once um, I had invited a person over to my house many years ago, almost 20 years ago, and somebody was very close to me, dear friend. And when I had taken to Krishna consciousness, I wanted him also to take to it, but 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 he was not. We would have long discussions, debates, but he could not. And then I was talking to Guru Maharaj that these are the challenges, and he said that you have to understand that not everybody will take to it. In fact, you have to understand that only a few people will take to it. So we can try. It's like the example Prabhupada gave, that you're a farmer and you're sprinkling seeds. Some seeds will fall on fertile ground and they will sprout. A lot of the seeds will fall on barren ground. But unless you distribute the seeds, so that one seed that sprouts will also not happen. Maybe the 100 seeds that have fallen on barren ground, it's a waste of your time and effort. But at least that one seed that sprouts, that makes it worthwhile. So that's how all of us came to Krishna consciousness. That there was somebody who had faith in us, who was investing his time, effort, and energy into it. And at that time, there was no guarantees. I remember when I was first approached for Krishna consciousness, then it was a long, it was fairly, long kind of a push-pull. I used to go to the temple mainly to eat food over there. Because we were vegetarians, there were not many vegetarian restaurants. This is back in the 90s. And, then we found out that there was this place in Potomac where you could get free food. And that also pretty good food. So we used to actually go at just prasadam time, eat and come back. Many times we didn't even go into the temple. But, then somebody, a devotee over there, he noticed that we would come every Sunday, eat and go. And then he started talking to us. And I mean, he didn't say, why are you eating and going? But, he just started talking to us that very nice that you come regularly. And we were embarrassed. We couldn't say we came for food. And I would say, yeah, we like it over here, etc. And of course, later on I became a good friend of ours. He said, said I knew you guys were rascals. You were just coming to eat food. But then he said, yeah, it's very nice. And do you have a copy of Bhagavad Gita? Can I come to your house? Can I talk to you? And I remember Mukund Maharaj, who was, one of Prabhupada's first disciple. He was the sannyasi in ISKCON. And then his secretary called us and said, Mukund Maharaj wants to come to your house. And said, we don't want any Maharaj to come to our house. Because we were scared that Maharaj will come, I don't know what will happen. Then we said, we don't want any Maharaj. And she kept calling us 3-4 times. And we would say, no, we live in an apartment and not enough space for Maharajas in apartments. And of course, later on, many years later, when we tried to get Maharaj into our house, he said, "No, I'm too busy. I can't come to your house." So it took us a long time to convince him. I mean, and he wasn't getting back to us. It was just Krishna. He obviously forgot all about us over the time, but he was actually very busy. So one time he actually said, "Okay, I'll come," and then we arranged a big program. And then 10 minutes before that, he said, "Actually, I have a headache. I can't come." So that was just Krishna giving us a taste of our own medicine. So yeah, you're right. Not everybody will take to it. Yeah, and see, when you speak to somebody, there are three things that are in play at the time. So this I'm going more to Greek philosophy, but it's relevant over here. So there is ethos, pathos, and logos. So logos is logic. Like you speak to somebody on the basis of logic, that is the weakest leg. Because every logical point that you can make, the other person can negate it. Right? You have a discussion with somebody about the presence of God, I can guarantee you that the other person will always win that discussion. Right? He will say, "Show me God." Or, "Why is God allowing COVID-19 to happen?" Or, "Why is God allowing innocent children to be killed in the wombs of their mother?" So, they can make so many points. Now, you can go deeper and deeper in the philosophy, but then it becomes too esoteric. Right? So, logos is the weakest. The second is pathos. Pathos is how you say it. Right? You can say, "Prabhu, Krishna is God." Or you can say, "Prabhu, Krishna is God." Right? So, when you're able to put your emotions into it. So pathos is basically your emotions. And you see a lot, in these charismatic speakers, mega churches in India, they have these people. But the influence of that is temporary. While the person is speaking, you're like, yeah. When the person is gone, then that effect, it declines there. The third is ethos. Ethos is, what is it that you represent? That is the most powerful. So when you tell somebody that you're not the body, you're the soul, and the person says, what is the symptom of this realization? You say the symptom is that such a person is not bewildered by adversities. So, okay. And then later on he notices that you're not bewildered by that adversity. Or he notices that you did not become extraordinarily agitated by things that are either going your way or not going your way. Then the person says, yeah, this person is walking the talk. This person is living what he's preaching. Right? So this is the Acharya principle. That the true Acharya is when the Prachar and the Achar resonate with one another. So we can talk to a person and argue with them. You'll probably make an enemy of the person. If you happen to have the art of being charismatic and speaking, you can definitely use that, but it has a limited influence. The strongest influence is ethos. What is the value system that you represent? And the person does not have to be in extended contact with you. So many times with Prabhupada, people would, when he was giving his talk in MIT, and so I actually had the fortune of talking with this person. He was a student in Harvard. He was a student in Harvard at the time, and a Muslim person. And he says that he was walking by for his class. So this is back in 68. He was walking for his class, and then he noticed there was an auditorium that was full. So he said he was curious. He had some minutes for his class left. So he walked and stood by the door. And then he said, I saw an old man sitting on the table in a lotus position. And he was saying, Krishna is God, You have to surrender to Krishna to make your life perfect. He said, that's the only thing that I heard. He said, after that I looked at my watch. It was late for my class. I walked away. And he says, I've never been able to forget that. Now, he's a fully practicing Muslim. I met him in the Vaishnav Muslim dialogue. But he has so much of appreciation for Vaishnavism, for Srila Prabhupada. And because he later on, he's a professor in religion. So, as part of his own academics, he studied that. And guess what does he teach? He teaches Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. His paper is on Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam. So it does not have to be that the person has to be watching you for several days or months or years before they get impressed, but it is something that is very intangible. That when somebody sees that you're convinced about what you're saying, you're living your life according to the principles that you're saying, then that is much more powerful than all the logic and then all the oratory that you can put on the table. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, comments?
And Hare Krishna Prabhuji, if nobody is asking question, maybe I have one more question. I will wait for others.
What is the most difficult question you ever posed by anybody to you? Which is the combination, the answers was a combination of both ethos and right up to logic.
I think the most difficult question that I get faced, it's not a one-time thing, it's, I do get it often, not often, but more often than I would like to, is that do you have complete faith in Krishna yourself? Right. So if I were to answer it with 100% honesty, then the answer would be no. Because if I had 100% faith in Krishna, then depending on what I would like to do, I would not have a material body, or I would be using this body completely in the service of Vaishnavas and Krishna. But I'm not. Right? I still want to have a good car and enjoy some comforts in my life, have a job, have money in the bank. So what are all these symptoms of? That I have faith in things that are other than Krishna. But at the same time, I have faith. So it's the degree. It's just a matter of degree that are there. But yes, this is one of the difficult questions to answer. I remember asking Guru Maharaj about it. And he said that you should be honest in both the ways. You should be honest that I do not have full faith in Krishna. And you should also be honest that I'm working hard to develop full faith in Krishna. So both these statements, they're true. Now I could work harder, but I'm working. Work in progress is there. What about, it's a good question, Pad. What about other people? What is the most difficult question that's been asked of you in the context of your experience in Krishna consciousness, or in context with your relationship with Krishna? What about you, Pad? What? So you're a strong devotee of Lord Jagannath.
Yeah, no, I keep telling you whenever I speak to you, I haven't read anything in a structured way. You talked about it earlier on. I want to do it, but just not able to do it for whatever reason, right? Hopefully, it comes soon. But there is a inner call. I don't know how to express it. It's a desire that it's almost like a call. I want to do it, but just can't do it for whatever reason. That is excuse for not doing it. Where my mind is right now, I asked that question. Thank you for that. I could feel the honesty in the answer, even if it's a Zoom or whatever video conference we're doing. What of late, what bothers me, what comes to my mind is at any given point of time, and let's look at my life, and I have 5 decades for sure. And I'm sure that many souls, many living beings, and great living beings that have walked on this earth and going to walk. And there is always a realization of good and bad, and articulated differently. And the heart of it, I would call it a pure love, right? If I understand that 4-letter word called love, it's like, for me, it's the ultimate, which I think comes out of, from in my understanding, is truth. And I don't know what is truth, honestly. Is there a time when, whether historically, when Prabhupada was living, or Lord Krishna was on the earth, or Buddha was there, or Jesus was there, or Muhammad, whoever these great souls walked on the earth, and obviously God came in some form. Was it a completely balanced life that time? If I look at some examples, no, there was evil, there was good. Probably there were more evil to, when I say evil, means there were more worse thing than ever before to enhance the goodness, right? Let's say, I think a few days back you talked about Goddess Sita. So somebody abducting somebody's wife, and that to Lord Ram's, is the ultimate bad thing you can do, right? At the time when Ram is ruling. So you had instances where, if I'm not mistaken, that good and bad always exist, always coexisting, always, even today, even 40 years back, and my memory serves. So every day, if I look at it in the last 12 hours, there is for all of us, there must be something beautiful must have happened, something not so good would have happened, or a bad desire would have come to our mind, just like you said you wanted to own a good car today. I mean, nothing wrong in it, but it's a desire. Why go for, particularly when you have a car. So what is this journey? Where does it lead to? COVID, no COVID, after some time, I know I will die. That much a blind faith I have in death. So, from today till that day, what am I trying to do other than being good? I think being good is a phenomenal feeling, right? You talked about it, that being pious, serving others, not hurting anybody, feeding people, poor people. You can't solve world hunger problem, but you can always feed some people for sure. Actually, I used to also go to ISKCON temple beginning to eat because such lovely food on Sunday evening. Why not? And that's where I met you a long time back. So where it not bothers me, where it confuses me is that at any point of time, no matter whatever that spiritual index of maturity one attends, there is enough good, there is enough bad. There's enough good, whether it's in America, whether it is in Delhi, or it's in China, or it's in Timbuktu. There's no place where it is just good, or there's no place where it's just bad. So this dichotomy that exists constantly throughout, all pervasive, and he's completely aware of it, and he's the one who is making it happen, beautifully watching and having the fun. Kind of pulls me back from that call a little bit. Say that, oh, okay, I do or don't do, anyway it's going to happen. So what is that I'm trying to do as an individual? Other than being good, I think being good, it's a. Sorry, I'm trying to get to the questions quickly, but it just feels good, right? When you do good to somebody, when you can hurt but you're not hurting, you can steal but not stealing. You know what I'm saying? You probably difficult to give but you're giving, and naturally doing it without an agenda, without a Facebook, without an advertisement, without being so active in social media and trying to just talk stuff, right? Logically say, position yourself, articulate it, you're the great soul on earth. I think you said it, right? When you say with passion, yeah, I've done it, right? 2 minutes later, it's all gone, right? It's all withers away. It's so fake. If I look at myself, I mean, when I behave that way, it's almost like a natural instinct. It's not because I read Bhagavad Gita in a structured way, or somebody told me to do it. It's such a, but yet I know I'm just maybe 1% of what one should be at my age in terms of realization and everything, right? So if it is such a dichotomy constantly, it's just whether I look at 1,000 years back or 5,000 years back, or if I look at today, and if I'm going to see tomorrow.